Hello, friend of karmic affinity. There are days when you wake up and feel as though the entire universe is conspiring against you. Every plan you meticulously built suddenly collapses without warning. Sincere efforts go unrewarded, and troubles keep rushing in like violent waves. In those dark moments, you feel like a target aimed at by life, pushed into a corner of helplessness and despair. A haunting question echoes in your head. Why me? Why is everything so difficult for me? But my dear friend, before letting self-pity drown your mind, try to pause for a beat, take a deep breath, and ask yourself a different question. What if life isn't actually against you? What if this chaos isn't a punishment, but a part of a natural law that we do not yet understand? Over 2,500 years ago, the Buddhist saw through the nature of these fluctuations. He did not promise a life without storms, but he gave us a compass of wisdom to keep a steady hand on the oar. Today, let us rediscover that steadiness together, to see that even when everything does not go our way, our mind can still remain serene and free. Part 1. Expectation and Resistance to Reality. Let us begin this journey by looking deeply into the root of disappointment to understand why we suffer so much when things go astray. The root cause usually lies in a hidden belief, an invisible contract that our mind has signed with life. We believe that if we live well, if we strive our best, and if we prepare thoroughly, then life has an obligation to return to us smooth results, worthy rewards, and permanent stability. We draw a perfect script in our heads and expect reality to unfold exactly like that, without deviating even an inch. But my dear friend, please awaken to realize a naked yet liberating truth. Life never promised us that. Life operates according to the law of interconnected causes and conditions, not according to the subjective will of the small ego. When reality unfolds differently, for instance, a cherished project fails, a close friend leaves, or a sudden illness visits, the vast gap between what we crave and what is actually happening is where suffering resides. We suffer not because of the event itself, but because of our violent resistance to it. We scream in our thoughts. We torment ourselves, and we refuse to accept the truth. It is this personalization of pain, the belief that the universe is being unfair, specifically to you, that drains your energy. Try letting go of expectations and accept that life has no obligation to follow your script. You will find the 1,000-pound burden on your shoulders suddenly lightened by half. Part 2. Impermanence is not the enemy, but liberation. Once you have let go of the resistance of expectation, your mind will open to touch the second truth, impermanence. We often feel afraid when hearing the words, impermanence, because, in our subconscious, we always link it to loss, separation, and decay. But try looking wider with the eyes of wisdom. If everything were eternal and unchanging, then the cold winter would never give way to warm spring, and a seed would forever lie still in the ground, without being able to rise into a tall, shading tree. If everything stood still, would your current difficulties last forever? Suffering is born because we forget the cyclical nature of life. When in a difficult phase, we pessimistically believe it will never end. When at the peak of success, we fear it will disappear and try to grasp it tightly. Our minds always want to freeze the river of life at its most peaceful bends. But remember this saying as an antidote to fear. Impermanence does not come to make us afraid. Impermanence comes to liberate us. It is thanks to impermanence that this storm will eventually dissipate. This sadness will fade, and this wound will eventually heal. When you deeply understand that this too shall pass, you will no longer be drowned by your current circumstances. You learn to flow with the stream, soft and flexible, instead of trying to cling to the sharp rocky banks of the past, only to scrape yourself. Part 3. Standing firm amidst the 8 worldly winds. This life is never a permanently flat lake. It always blows toward us opposing currents. In Buddhism, these are called the 8 worldly winds, including gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and disrepute, happiness and pain. These 8 winds constantly change direction, sometimes lifting us high, sometimes dragging us down. We often live passively like a dry leaf, letting these winds blow our emotions everywhere. Look at a very common example in the workplace. This morning, the boss praises you for a new project. You feel buoyant with happiness, feeling truly valuable and talented. But by afternoon, a colleague criticizes a small mistake. You immediately fall into an abyss of self-doubt, feeling incompetent and useless. Your emotions depend entirely on the direction of the external wind. You see, the problem is not the wind. The wind must blow. That is the business of heaven and earth, the nature of the world. The problem is that we have clung to the wind. We let external factors dictate our internal value and peace. When things don't go our way, it is usually when an adverse wind is blowing. Instead of blaming the wind, learn to build the house of your consciousness sturdily. A solid house will not shake because of a strange breeze. Always remind yourself that praise or blame, success or failure, all are just weather. And weather always changes. As for you, you are the vast sky containing all that weather without being damaged or altered by it. Part 4. The 2 arouse of suffering. Continuing deeper into the mechanism of suffering, we come to the lesson of the 2 arrows, one of the Buddha's most poignant and practical metaphors. He taught that when encountering an unfavorable event, we are all struck by the first arrow. This is the natural pain of circumstances, such as the loss of property, failure in work, or the physical pains of illness. No one avoids this arrow, not even a saint, because it is part of the human experience. But the greatest tragedy lies in the fact that, immediately after, we often manually shoot a second arrow into that very wound. This arrow is many times more toxic. It is the torment, the speculation, and the self-pity with questions like, "Why me?" or "My life is over." This second arrow does not come from life. It comes from your own resistance. Imagine you are standing in a strong wind. The first arrow is the force of the wind slapping your face, making you sting and uncomfortable. The second arrow is you standing there screaming, angry at the wind, and trying to use your hands to push the wind away. Doing so does not stop the wind from blowing. It only leaves you exhausted and more desperate. When things don't go your way, learn to accept the first arrow. Have the courage to admit, yes, this is difficult. I am feeling sad and disappointed. But stop there. Do not shoot the second arrow of tragic fabrication. When you stop shooting the second arrow, pain will be pure pain. It will come, stay for a while, and then leave much more gently, without leaving deep scars in your soul. Part 5. Equanimity. The internal steadiness So how do we avoid being swept away by the winds and avoid shooting the second arrow at ourselves? The core quality we need to nurture is equanimity, team sin. Many people misunderstand equanimity as indifference, coldness, or apathy toward life. That is not the case. Equanimity is a state of absolute internal balance, a deep steadiness and calmness rooted in wisdom. It is when you care about life, you strive your best for goals, but you do not let external results decide your internal peace. Equanimity is the ability to stand in the middle of a storm without the mind wavering. You see the difficulty, you accept its presence, but you do not panic. You understand that you cannot control what happens to you, the objective events of life, but you have total control over your attitude toward them. When you have equanimity, you are no longer a passive victim of circumstances. You become a clear observer. You welcome joy without obsessive clinging, and you face sadness without fearful escape. You maintain the composure to see through the nature of the problem and find the best solution. That is the pinnacle of inner strength, helping you walk through rainy days as well as sunny days with the same serene mindset. Part 6. Practice when things are not. As intended to turn these philosophies into vivid reality, I invite you to practice a simple yet extremely effective 4-step process whenever life deviates from your plans. Step 1 is to recognize the resistance. As soon as an unfavorable event occurs, observe your body. Are your shoulders tensing? Is your heart racing? And is your mind screaming in refusal of reality? Recognize that emotional storm rising. Step 2 is to name the event. Silently say in your head objectively, "This is a difficult moment," or "Things are not going according to plan." Naming helps you detach yourself from identification with the emotion, creating a safe distance. Step 3 is to remind yourself of the flow. Tell your heart that this condition too is passing. It is not forever. This mantra helps you avoid getting stuck in despair. Step 4 is to return to the smallest action. Instead of worrying about the entire murky future, ask, right now, what is the smallest and best thing I can do? It might just be drinking a sip of water, taking a deep breath, or finishing the pending task right in front of you. When you pull your mind back to the present and focus on a specific action, confusion will vanish, making way for clarity and efficiency. My dear friend, when things don't go your way, it is not a sign of failure or inadequacy, but an urgent invitation from life for you to return and train your inner power. Adversities come not to strike you down, but to help you build a firmer spiritual foundation. Redefine the concept of strength. Being strong is not when you can bend the world to your will or control everything in the palm of your hand. True strength is when the world can turn upside down and every plan can shatter, but your mind still maintains balance and tenderness. That is the strength of the bamboo, bending softly in the storm, but never breaking. Do not pray for a life without storms, for that is an impossibility. Pray instead for steady feet and a compassionate heart to walk through every tempest. When you stop fighting against life, you will see life begin to support you in the most miraculous ways. If this video has brought you some peace and strength, please share it with those who need more faith to overcome difficult periods. Click subscribe so we can continue to accompany each other on the path of awakening. May you always be as steady as a mountain and as relaxed as the clouds in the sky. Goodbye, and see you again.